Good morning, Sir Salas. Good morning, classmates. My name is Angel Milano, and today we will going to talk about the 20 categories of essay questions. So I will going to start with introducing my group members. First is Aquino Desiree, Milano Angel, Montefolca Charity, Pancho Lizelle, and Romila Darlene Joy. So, what is an essay? Essay requires answers to be written out at some length, and the students functions as a source of information. An essay exams requires you to see the significance and meaning of what you know. It tests your knowledge and understanding of the subject and your skill in reading and in writing. So, essay writing promotes critical thinking whereby you reflect on an issue and reach a conclusion. It pushes students to assess different arguments so that they can come up with stronger positions. Through critical thinking, students learn how to observe different perspectives and views. So, what is an essay test? This type of test differs from the completion test in degree rather than in kind, and essays usually allow greater freedom response to questions and require more writing. So, what is the advantage of essay? An essay gives students the freedom to respond within broad limits, and essay examinations allow students to express their feeling with relatively few restraints. So if there's an advantage of an essay test, there is also a disadvantage. So the disadvantage is that essays are time consuming for teachers and for students. And students often spend much time answering only one or two extended essay questions, which may severely limit sampling their knowledge. That's all for my part of the report, and one of my group reads will report the selective recall, evaluative recall, comparison of two things, and comparison of two things.
Good day, everyone. My name is Darlene Joy E. Rumayla, and now I am going to discuss the first five categories of essay questions. So, first, we have selective recall. According to dictionary, selective is relating to or involving the selection of the most suitable or best qualified, while recall is to bring the memory of a past event into your mind and often to give a description of what you remember. So in the meaning itself, we can already identify what type of recall is this. So selective recall is about selecting a particular topic that you have already discussed that they need to recall. For example, you were discussing about the parts of speech last meeting and now you ask your student to recall about the noun only, which is part of the speech. It is a selective recall because there is actually 8 parts of speech, but we only select one. The second one is evaluative recall. Here in evaluative, it is involving judgment or calculating the quality, importance, amount, or value of something. As a future educators, we can use this kind of recall if we want the students to present final judgment on an idea or issue, whether it be positive or negatives, right or wrong, moral or immoral, supported by research or valid reasons. When students evaluate information, they confirm, extend, or change their personal views based on the topic of the reading. It is important for students to explain when they do not agree with information in a text because evaluative statement is a way of giving a better explanation to show the strength and weaknesses of something. It presents a value of judgment based on a set of criteria. The third one is comparison of two things in general. First, let us define what is comparison. Comparison or comparing is the act of evaluating two or more things by determining the relevant, comparable characteristics of each thing and then determining which characteristics of each are similar to the other, which are different, and to what degree. So, comparison of two things in general is about talking about something as a whole rather than a part of it. The fourth one is the comparison of two things on a single basis. Here, in comparison of two things on a single basis, let us know what is The meaning of single and basis. So, single or individual means relating to one person or thing rather than to a large group. While on the other hand, basis is if something is done on a particular basis, it is done according to that method, system, or principle. One example of this is to compare the contributions made by Dalton and Bohr to atomic theory. In this, the particular basis we use is the atomic theory. There are actually a lot of atomic theory, but we only focus on Dalton and Bohr, which made this a single basis. So the fifth one is the cause and effect. Cause and effect is a relationship between two things when one thing makes something else happen. For example, if we eat too much food and do not exercise, we gain weight. Eating food without exercising is the cause, weight gain is the effect. There may be multiple causes and multiple effects. Looking for the reasons why things happen or the cause and effect is a basic human drive. So, understanding the cause and effect text structure is essential in learning the basic ways the world works. Writers use this text structure to show order, inform, speculate, and change behavior. This text structure uses the process of identifying potential causes of a problem or issue in an orderly way. And that was all on my part. And now I am passing now the floor to the next reporter.
So again, good afternoon, especially to our professor, Sir Rosales. I am Lizelle Pancho, one of the members of this group, and I am going to continue to discuss some of the categorization of essays and tests. So the next one is the decisions for and against. So decision making can be described as a process of making a decision or decisions based on choices made amongst two or more competing course of actions. So the decision making, also requires making a defined choice between two or more alternative course of the actions that are available. So now in essay form, there are steps on how to write it. So first, we must recognize the problem. Second, we must define the problem. And the next step is to generate the possible solutions and evaluate possible solutions. And lastly, choosing a solutions. So you can do this without using an essay form. Well, the next one is the explanation of the uses. So it's kind of a statement that is something that you say or write, which gives information in a formal or definite way. So mostly it happens in the last part of the test that usually the question is asking the explanation of the use of the things or the importance of it. Now let's proceed in summary. So summary is a condensed version of a larger story, which is all of us is familiar. So it should briefly but comprehensively describe the essential information from the original. So in contrast to an outline, which uses sequences of the numbers and letters or bullet points, a summary should be written in continuous prose form, or example in a paragraph form or in essay form. So the purpose of a summary is to provide readers with a succinct overview of important details or interesting information without inserting a personal opinion. Okay, so we also have called analysis. So analysis means breaking something down into its various elements and then acting critical thinking questions such as why and how in order to reach some conclusions of your own. So analysis is an important part of arguments. So sections of analysis usually included references to your thesis or to the argument of your essay. So analysis helps you support your thesis by explaining how and why different sources fit into your argument. And in my last part, I am going also to explain the statement of relationship. It's a statement is the basic stand that an author takes. So the opinion that he expresses and the major point that he wishes to make about his subject. So it contains the controlling idea of the essay and therefore gives the direction and the unity to all separate elements of the writing. And that would be all my part, and I'm going to pass the floor to the next reporter.
Good day everyone, I am Charity Montefolca, one of the members of the group Problemado. The 11th category of essay questions is illustrations or examples the students own of the principles in science, construction in language, or other subject matter. So this category helped illustrate or support a point. An illustration or example essay question is structured around the goal of using the student's own examples or to illustrate to make a point to their answer in an essay. They may use various examples to support their essay answer, but they must make sure that their examples are relevant, strong, and properly used. Next one is classification. This category is designed to assess generalization and categorization abilities. It primarily seeks to group different concepts and objects with comparable properties. To answer this kind of essay question, the student must arrange things into various categories, give examples that belong in each category, and so forth. Next one, we have application of rules or principles in new situations. So there are 5 examples of how rules or principles can be applied in new situations in an essay. First, applying the principle of fairness to a new situation. For example, if you are writing about a circumstance in which a group of people are treated unfairly, you could apply the principle of fairness to argue that the situation should be corrected. Second, applying the rule of law to a new situation. For example, if you are writing about a situation in which someone has been subject to accusation of a crime, you could apply the rule of law to argue that the accused person should get a fair trial. Third, applying the principle of equality to a new situation. For instance, if you are writing about a situation in which certain groups of people are being treated unfairly, you could apply the principle of equality to argue that everyone should be treated equally. Fourth, applying the principle of non-discrimination to a new situation, such as if you are writing about a situation in which someone is being discriminated against because of their race, gender, or other characteristic, you could apply the principle of non-discrimination to argue that this discrimination is wrong. And the last one is applying the principle of respect for human rights to a new situation. For instance, if you are writing about a situation in which someone's human rights are being violated, then you could apply the principle of respect for human rights to argue that these rights should be protected. The 14th category of essay question is the discussion. So when writing a discussion essay, it is important to ensure that facts and opinions are clearly separated. Often you will examine that what other people have already said on the same subject and include this information using paraphrasing and summarizing skills as well as correct citations. And the next category is criticism. An essay on criticism would be a significant topic because despite the fact that this generation is eminently critical, the author would still feel the need to research the rules of criticism as a science and establish its parameters as an art. This category gives you an insight into the pros and cons of the essay question.
Good day everyone, I am Desiree Aquino, one of the members of the group Problemado. The 16th category of essay questions is the outline. An outline is a direct and clear map of your essay. It shows what each paragraph will contain, in what order paragraphs will appear, and how all the points fit together as a whole. Most outlines use bullet points or numbers to arrange information and convey points. Outlining is a vital part of the essay planning process. It allows the writer to understand how he or she will connect all the information to support the thesis statement and the claims of the paper. It also provides the writer with a space to manipulate ideas easily without needing to write complete paragraphs. Reorganization of facts. Finding sources for essay is important, but using unreliable sources will hurt your credibility and make your arguments seem less powerful. It is important to be able to identify which sources are credible. This ability requires an understanding of depth, objectivity, currency, authority, and purpose. Think about unreliable sources as pollutants to your credibility. If you include unreliable sources in your work could lose credibility as a result. Formulation of new questions. There are steps in formulation of effective essay questions. First is begin with the lesson objectives in mind. Make sure to know what you wish the student to show by answering the essay question. Second, decide if your goal requires a restricted or extended response. In general, if you wish to see if the student can synthesize and organize the information that they learned, then restricted response is the way to go. However, if you wish them to judge or evaluate something using the information taught during class, then you will want to use the extended response. Third, if you are including more than one essay, be cognizant of time constraints. You do not want to punish students because they ran out of time on the test. Fourth, write the question in a novel or interesting manner to help motivate the student. Fifth, state the number of points that the essay is worth. You can also provide them with a time guideline to help them as they work through the exam. And lastly, if your essay item is part of a larger objective test, make sure that it is the last item on the exam. New methods or procedures. Devise another procedure for testing students who are unable to read, and you need to discuss your method fully. So that's my discussion all about. I hope you have learned something from it